Alright, so Drake just released his newest album, Scorpion, June 29th. It has 25 songs and it runs for 1 hour and 30 minutes. The album cover, we see a black and white autographed picture of himself. And Scorpion is a motif for the zodiac Scorpio, which is representative of his zodiac sign because he was born in October. And it could also speak to the nature of a scorpion, which strikes when threatened. And as we've seen thus far, Drake has been, being attacked from multiple different sides, whether it was his beef with Meek Mill, his rap beef with Pusha T, or people assisting others that were beefing with him, like Jay-Z and whatnot. So overall, it's a pretty solid album cover. He looks very focused and determined, in the zone. So this is a pretty cool album cover. But anyways, moving on. Singles, we have track 4, Nice for What. We have track 5, God's Plan. And we have track 6, I'm Upset. Standouts, we have track 1, Survival. Drake gets in his bag and talks about several things such as his stature in music, his beef with Meek Mill, Puff Daddy, etc. He says, "My Mount Rushmore is me with 4 different expressions. Who's giving out this much return on investment? After my run, man, how is that even a question?" So basically, right here, he's speaking to his status in the game as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. And then he says, "After this summer, man, how is that even a? I've had real Philly niggas try to write my ending, and that's speaking to Meek Mill. I've had scuffles with bad boys. That's a reference to Puff Daddy. That wasn't pretending. I fell back 100 times when I don't get the credit." And right there, he's talking about getting credit for writing other people's songs and whatnot, and also falling back from engaging in certain beefs. He says, "Seen this movie 100 times. I know where it's headed. Realize someone gotta die when no one a dead it." And this is basically speaking to his beef with Pusha T, because that's where it was headed. Lines were starting to get blurred as far as the two artists, because families was being involved. And then you had people making death threats towards Jay Prince. So the beef was deaded because of this, and he's basically speaking on why he basically didn't respond to Pusha T with another diss, even though he had one tucked away in the chamber. And then he says, dead it. Niggas gambling with their life for some content. That's the type of lottery that could get your top picked." And he's basically saying that if things would have escalated further, somebody would have ended up, being killed. And that's not something they would have wanted, especially over something as petty as a rap battle be. So that whole track right there basically speaks to everything that's been going on with Drake in terms of his engagements and beefs and whatnot. Then we have Elevate. It's a record about improving not only his lifestyle, but also those around him. We have Emotionless. On this record, Drake samples Mariah Carey's Emotions and discusses his son Adonis and why he didn't bring him into public. He says, "I wasn't hiding my kid from the world. I was hiding the world from my kid. From empty souls who just wake up and look the debate." So basically, he's speaking to wanting to shield his kid from, the harsh realities of society. And then he says, he's the empty souls. He's speaking to the people that be in the comments saying wild things for no reason other than to just get likes and things of that nature. And then he says, "Until you staring at your seat, you can never relate." Basically, he's saying you can't fault him until you're in a similar position as he is. He says, "Breaking news in my life, I don't run to the blogs. The only ones I want to tell are the ones I can call." Basically, he's speaking to not wanting his business being put out there like that, and basically only wanting to discuss that with people he can rely on. Then he says, "They always ask, why let the story run if it's false? A wise man once said nothing at all," which is true. Regardless of what you say, people are going to make their own assumptions and opinions, which is what a whole bunch of people did in regards to that photo of him in blackface, which I knew was more to it than what was initially put out. And I spoke on that on one of my videos on YouTube in the comments, because this chick got at me about that, and I basically broke down the whole thing for her, and she didn't really have too much to say after that. But anyways, moving on, we have God's Plan. It's the first single of the album. The music video showed Drake using the video budget to donate close to $1 million to those in need throughout Florida. And then we have I'm Upset. It's the third single. Drake reunites with his Degrassi castmates to film the music video. Drake discusses protecting his money from money-hungry women. Then we have 8 out of 10. He says, the only dead beats is whatever beats I've been rapping to. And that's basically speaking to the line that Pusha T said, deadbeat mother effer, let that boy come home, playing Border Patrol or something like that. And then he says, I guess luck is on your side. I guess luck is on your side. All sevens, no sixes. Rest easy, get some shut eye. And that line is basically at Kanye, because every album release from Good Music was all 7 tracks. And he's basically speaking to Kanye working like a robot and needing some time off because he's been dropping albums back to back. So that line right there was at Kanye. And then he has Can't Take a Joke. Drake talks about his ops and joking with the homies about certain things, but in reality, he's being serious. Then we have Sandra's Rose. Sandra is Drake's mom, and he is her rose. In other words, her shining grace. He says, life too short, I gotta get it before they blow the whistle. And that's an homage to Too Short and his song Blow the Whistle. He says, my uncle tried to change the energy with stones and crystals, but it's going to take more than that for me to control my issues. I wasn't made for no casket or no prison cell. Every title doing numbers like I'm Miss Adele. So that can be a double entendre. Every title, basically every hit he puts out is doing numbers like Adele, which is one of the biggest pop stars. And every title can also be a play on Jay-Z's label Tidal as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then he says, Sandra knows I pulled us out of a living hell. I'm the chosen one. And basically that's speaking to life as a child, living with a single parent. And he's basically speaking to his experience right there. And then he says, flowers never pick themselves. So basically he's saying he was destined to be this great artist, and that it was basically preordained. And then he says, niggas want a classic, that's just 10 of these. And basically he's saying that this song is a classic, and he's capable of putting out 10 of these if he wants to. And then he says, crime family like the Genovese. You don't want drama. And if you're familiar with the Genovese, they were basically the biggest mob family in New York back in the day. And he's basically saying that the people that's coming at him don't really want no issues, because, things could be dealt with behind the scenes. And then he says, capiche, my house is full of supermodels just like Mohammed Hadid. And I'm pretty sure that's probably one of those Saudi princes over in the Middle East. He says, I take this shit too serious. You niggas my comic relief. I find it funny how I keep on talking and comments increase. So he's basically saying that whatever he puts out in terms of music, his bank account keeps growing. And then he says, I'm standing at the top of where you niggas are climbing to reach. He's basically saying that he's the alpha, and everybody that's coming at him is trying to fight him for his position as the top dog in terms of music. And then he says, I even got my very own initials inscribed in my sheets. So that entire song is basically breaking down a whole bunch of different things. And then we have track 12, Is There More? Drake discusses life and the many aspects of life in general by using the phrase, is there more, before elaborating. We have track 16, Nice for What. It's the second single, which is all about women empowerment. We have track 17, Finesse. Drake talks about wanting another woman to be his child's mother. Track 23 is After Dark featuring Ty Dolla $ign and Static Major. It's a record about connecting with a woman who has barriers put up to prevent herself from being hurt again. We have track 24, Final Fantasy, which is also the name of a video game, which I thought was interesting. He said Drake discusses his sexual fantasies and acting them out with the woman he has his sights on. And then we have track 25, March 14th, the day he found out about having a son. Drake talks about being there for his son Adonis and his displeasure with being a single father, which is something he resented his own father for doing to him. He says, yesterday morning was crazy. I had to come to terms with the fact that it's not a maybe. And that basically he's speaking to him not knowing or not if the son is, if the child is his. And basically he got confirmation that the child was. He says, that shit is in stone, sealed and signed. She not my lover like Billie Jean. That's an homage to Michael Jackson, R.I.P. But the kid is mine. Sandy used to tell me all it takes is one time. All it takes is one time, to bring a child into this world. And all it took was one time. So basically the first time that he slept with Sophia, she got pregnant. Single father, I hate when I hear it. I used to challenge my parents on every album. Now I'm embarrassed to tell them I ended up as a co-parent. Always promised the family unit I wanted it to be different because I've been through it, but this is the harsh truth now. So basically he's speaking to not wanting his own child to experience growing up in two different households like he did when he was a child. And before I move on, I wanted to go back to Final Fantasy. I'm thinking this song could be talking about Sophia because there's lines in there in regards to different porn sites and stuff like that. And that she was a ex new butt model. So this could be about her or someone else, but I'm not really too sure. But as you can see from all of these different songs, the album is very compact, is very conceptual, and it's touching on a lot of things. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have Nonstop, Mob Ties, Talk Up featuring Jay-Z, Peak, That's How You Feel featuring Nicki Minaj, Blue Tint featuring Future, and Don't Matter to Me featuring Michael Jackson. And I thought it was cool to get MJ on his album. The song is basically Drake rapping over an unreleased Michael Jackson song. So I thought this was pretty cool because Michael Jackson, when he was alive, he was the king of pop. And Drake, as of right now, is in that position in my eyes. And then skips, we have track 2, Summer Games. And we have track 18, Ratchet Happy Birthday. My personal favorites are track 1, Survival, Elevate, God's Plan, I'm Upset, 8 out of 10, Mob Ties, Can't Take a Joke, Sandra's Rose, Is There More, Nice for What, Finesse, In My Feelings, After Dark featuring Ty Dolla $ign and Static Major, and track 24, Final Fantasy. My overall conclusion, I thought it was a great album. Drake delivers a body of work that pleases those who feels he doesn't rap enough and those who love when he sings. And I think this album has the potential to be a classic because it touches upon a whole lot of different aspects of life in general. It's very deep. You have the lyrical side, you have the singing side, you have your radio hits. So overall, it was a great album. And I gave it a 23 out of 25, which comes out to a 92%. So overall, a great effort put forth by Drake. But anyways, if you're a fan of Drake, be sure to buy this album, stream it. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.